Hey guys, welcome in. I hope you guys are doing all right. My name is Brianna. I don't know what's going on with my hair. It's like a bunch of different patterns. I tried. This is going to be an energetic astrological update for the next 2 days, you guys. I will be using some of the current astrology as well as including a combination of both tarot and oracle cards, which I have already pulled out here on the table. And just depending on how the reading goes, I may continue to pull more cards as we move through the reading, you guys. But it's looking like, from what we have here on the table, this reading is going to be a continuation of the last collective reading that we did. In the last reading, the collective was moving through the Bardo, right? And the Bardo was coming off to me as like this birth canal. The collective was moving through this process of transition from one reality into the next reality, right? We were moving through this process of transition into new birth, rebirth, right? Something new was being born. That message seems to be continuing here. And before we get into the tarot cards, how do I want to start this? Hold on, give me a second, you guys, because I have some channeled messages or a channeled message that I wrote down. I guess I'll start with that, and then we'll get into the tarot cards. So this message was channeled on August 2nd, 2026, and I'm just going to read it how I wrote it, okay? So, fragile phase of transition, birth canal, and it has a question mark. Fragile phase of transition, birth canal, moving from one reality to the next, lost interest in old reality. Old reality is dull, no spark, no joy. New reality will reignite inner spark, excitement, happiness, enthusiasm. The next steps forward are waiting to be revealed. Unknown/uncharted territory. The mind may be restless or worried. Why aren't things moving? Why aren't things shifting? I have that in parentheses. This is a question. Why aren't things shifting? So you may be asking yourself, like, why isn't this thing working? Why isn't reality shifting? And the answer is in transition, moving through the Bardo. The conscious mind panics when it cannot perceive its next steps. Void space. Don't allow subconscious mind to fill in the blank space with old stories. So there's something here about how, like, it's the psychology of the unconscious, right? Or the psychology of the subconscious mind. When we can't perceive our next steps, we can't see, right? We're in this void space. We're moving through this birth canal. When we can't see or perceive our next steps forward, then the subconscious mind steps up to fill in the blanks with old data, right? Oh, this is what's happening. So the message here is to not allow the subconscious mind to fill in the blanks with old stories. We have repressed memories surface, automatic emotional reaction. So as we're moving through this void space, or like this spiritual fog, spiritual blindness, we can't see, old memories resurface and automatic emotional reactions kick in. This could lead to sadness, discontent, melancholy. And again, I have in parentheses, why aren't things shifting? So this could be like feelings that things aren't going to change. You're stuck in this old story, but Spirit wants you to know that that's not true. And then I have 2 weeks. Total solar eclipse in Leo, August 12th, but that's more like 1 week, not 2 weeks. So we have a total solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th, and Leo is the sun. We do have the sun card out here on the table. So this is like excitement, happiness, and enthusiasm. So this goes back to that message of your inner spark returning. In the meantime, the advice is to rest, replenish, trust, and allow. Practice regular spiritual and energetic hygiene. The last message was all about softening and being gentle, right? So that message is repeating here in this channeled message. Don't tense. Be gentle as you move through this fragile phase of transition. Don't allow your truth, your authenticity, or your solar plexus energy to be suppressed. That also came out in the last reading. During this like string of readings that I've been recording, we've been working on uncovering this like true, authentic, like pure, high vibrational version of ourselves, uncovering that and integrating that. And Spirit wants us to not allow that new version, that fragile version of self, to be suppressed. So suppressed as we move through this birth canal. So what I'm getting is the total solar eclipse in Leo may be like the birth, right? During a total solar eclipse, the sun eclipses the moon. So the sun, which is this Leo energy, this high vibrational, purified version of self, will eclipse the moon. The moon is going to be like the old emotional programming, automatic reactions, maybe even an old story, an old wound. What I'm actually getting is an old story, right? So total solar eclipse in Leo, joy, enthusiasm, excitement, happiness. I'm getting like frenzy energy, like summertime energy returns. That inner spark returns, but we're not there yet, right? We have about 1 week until we get there. So you may be asking yourself, like, why aren't things shifting? It's because we're still moving through this process. Some of us, not all of us, right? We're all on different timelines. Some of us are already in this like happy, excited, fulfilled energy or timeline where we get to express ourselves authentically, be ourselves on the world stage, be creative, and just like this happy, joy energy. Some of us are already there. For others of us, we're still moving through this birth canal, right? Moving into this transition. So if you resonate with this message so far, then the rest of the messages out on this table may be for you. Okay, you guys. One of the first cards out, I'm just laughing at my hair because I don't know how to manage it. I tried like curling it today and the curls are like this way, that way. It's like doing whatever it wants to do, but whatever. One of the first cards out, you guys, is the Lamb. The Lamb. This card talks about being peaceful, right? So it's a continuation of that last message, being peaceful, being patient, and being pure, right? This card also talks about prophetic messages either coming in from your intuition, from your spirit guides, or from like another person. There's a message, right? A message that's wanting to be delivered to you. It's an important message, honest guidance. So the advice with this Lamb card is to establish a deep level of quiet, like stillness. Sit still so that you can hear the guidance from either your intuition, your higher self, your spirit team, or maybe someone, a friend, someone who is coming in as this like prophetic messenger. But what I'm actually getting is that this message is going to be coming from your higher self, right? It's a message about your next steps, the next steps forward. And we want to be in this like Lamb energy, this calm, peaceful energy, so that we can receive this guidance, whatever it is. It's important, it's significant, because in the last message we were talking about how our choices are co-creating our next steps, right? So we're co-creating our next steps. We can't see the next steps because we're still co-creating these next steps. So as we move through this Bardo, there is still like opposition and chaos and all kinds of tension coming at us, right? So we want to be in this peaceful energy so that we can receive the orders, the guidance, the clarity from our higher selves, and we know when to turn or when to pull back, when to advance forward so that we get to our destination, right? So this message here is about establishing this sense of quiet to receive. Oops. Some of the other cards that I want to talk about at the bottom of the deck is the fish. The fish is like a restless, anxious energy, always on the go without clear direction, right? So if you are feeling restless or like you have to move, right? You have to be doing something, then the guidance is to be patient, right? Listen for divine intelligence. Listen for higher wisdom, because we also have the moth here. The moth is like a very like frantic and impulsive, like hasty energy, but the moth is also very hopeful, right? The moth the moth sees that the grass is greener on the other side. So the moth wants to go, right? Let's get there. Let's do it, right? The moth is very hasty, but we also have the bat. The bat talks about night vision, being in darkness, right? Darkness and stillness, letting go. The bat also talks about this process of like death and rebirth, moving through a process of death to be reborn, rebirthed. The bat also talks about being comfortable in the void space, right? And then we have the horse. The horse is momentum, freedom, and expansive energy. This is like the return of vital life force energy and vitality. The return of vitality. The return of vitality is also giving that total solar eclipse in Leo that we have occurring on the 12th. So these cards here are talking about a process of slowing down. Don't move too quickly. Wait for direction, especially with this fish energy. The fish moves without direction. Wait for direction. Don't be too hasty. Establish this sense of like comfort in the dark. This is giving high priestess energy, night vision, comfort within the shadows, because there's this like momentum that's going to carry you forward. It's like rebirth and then you take off, right? But we're not just taking off in any old direction, right? We're taking off in the right direction, a divine direction, a direction that leads towards our manifestation, something that we've been manifesting. Like I mentioned, some of us are already in this reality that feels like a dream, right? Reality that feels like a dream come true. I'm happy here. I'm content here. I'm fulfilled here. Whatever it is, it could be a location. It could be some work that you're doing. It could be like this creative way that you express yourself, or this authentic way that you express yourself. Whatever it is, it fulfills you, right? That's the goal of all of this. Each of us are moving towards this sense of soul level fulfillment, right? Where we can do the work that we love to do, where we can express ourselves freely and authentically, where we are surrounded by people who support and uplift us, as opposed to trying to compete with us and tear us down, right? Where each of us are moving into this dream-like reality, like daydream. I'm getting the daydream card in one of my other decks. It's a dream. It's like a walking, living dream, something that feels like a dream. Some of us are already there. We can probably see it all over the internet, all over social media, right? These people are just like being their true selves on the world stage, which is good for them, right? But then there are others of us who are still like working on it. Maybe we are living a dream, but it's an old dream, right? It's a dream that we've outgrown, right? Maybe at some point we were excited to do this thing, to be in this place, but as we grow and mature, so do our dreams, our hopes, and aspirations, right? So maybe we've outgrown an old dream and now we are co-creating a new dream with cosmic energies, divine timing, our guides, our higher selves, right? So some of us are already there, others of us are in this womb. We have the womb card here, the womb, incubation. We're incubating. This is also giving like that void energy, the void space. The womb is also talking about within this space, we talked about it in that channeled message, rest, right? Rest, take care of yourself, nurture yourself, nourish yourself, do your hair, put on nice looking clothes, do what you need to do to feel uplifted, because there are lots of energies around you that want to suppress you, right? Want to suppress this authentic, pure, expressive version of yourself. So take care of yourself as we move through this transition, right? Do something that allows you to express, or do something that allows this authentic and pure version of yourself to be expressed out in the material world, right? That's what makes it real. That's what there was that message in the channeled message about not letting this authentic version of yourself be suppressed. So make it real, especially as we're moving into this eclipse energy, right? Because an old story is being eclipsed out, and this new story is being, I want to say, exalted, elevated, right? So as we're moving through this birth canal, it keeps coming out that way, especially with the womb here. Nurture yourself, take care of yourself, love yourself, nourish yourself, be tender and gentle with yourself, uplift yourself, right? Even if everyone around you is trying to like put you down, right? Uplift yourself. We also have the creator energy here. The creator energy talks about, it's the artist, right? The alchemist, the visionary. This energy talks about not being intimidated by darkness or lack, right? Not being intimidated by what you cannot see. We have the unseen card here right behind the creator. So it's like not being intimidated by the womb, by the void, not being intimidated by what you cannot see, because the creator understands that creation happens in the womb, right? In the void. That's where we create, co-create our next steps. This creator card is also giving high priestess, kind of. It's like high priestess and magician. We do have the magician here. No, not high priestess and magician. High priestess and the emperor, right? Because the emperor is reality creation. Which brings me to some of the astrology, but let me just read some of the keywords on this unseen card. The unseen card talks about something that you can't see, but you can feel. Maybe you can sense it, you can hear it, right? So it says whispers of whispers of wisdom, intuition. Your guides are nearby, pay attention. Whispers of wisdom, intuition, your guides are nearby, pay attention. Instruction, guidance from spirit. So as we are in this dark space, right? This void space, spiritual blindness, spiritual fog, we can't see our next steps. We listen. We listen for the whispers of spirit, right? Be patient, be still. Don't thrash. Don't thrash. Just listen, right? Surrender in this dark space. Listen for this guidance that spirit has for you, and use the guidance to co-create your next steps. In the last reading, I was talking about how there's like this emotional communication that wants to come in from spirit. Spirit is sending emotional communication, but the emotional body has to be gentle, right? It has to be, we think about like waves. The waves, the water, the emotions, they can't be thrashing, because whatever spirit sends you will get lost in the waves. So when the waves, the water, your emotion is calm, then we'll be able to pick up these feelings, right? This inspiration. And this inspiration will get us to go in a new direction, like, oh, this way. This is what is exciting me, or this is what is inspiring me, right? So we want to be calm, be gentle, so that we can feel and hear, and then prepare to move in this new direction. Okay, let's get into some of the astrology. So we have the moon in Aries. In our last reading, the moon was in Pisces. The moon was in Pisces, and it was pulling us into our inner sanctuary to gain this insight, right? Now we have the moon in Aries. The moon is going to be represented by the high priestess energy in the tarot. And then Aries is going to be represented by the emperor energy in the tarot. So the high priestess talks about intuition, being comfortable in darkness, right? The high priestess is not afraid of the dark. She's very comfortable with her own shadow and the shadow energies of others, because she has like this night vision. She can see. So it's like being comfortable in the moon, right? Within your own emotional subconscious, not thrashing, not being tense, just being comfortable, right? With whatever comes up, and then gaining insight, right? So that's the moon in Aries. Aries is the emperor. And I mentioned that the emperor is reality creation, right? So the emperor creates and commands his reality through sovereign authority, right? The emperor is the ruler of his realm. Nobody tells the emperor how to create, what to do with his life force energy. The emperor creates through structure, order, discipline, and then taking bold action. So the moon in Aries is confirming the messages that we've been talking about so far, right? High priestess, moon, retreat, be still, and feel whatever is coming up for you, right? Gain this insight. There's a message that is wanting to be delivered. This message may come through in terms of like feeling, right? And then the Aries aspect of this is discipline, right? You may want to go in a certain direction. You may want to push, right? You may want to, I'm getting like work against divine timing. But the emperor is disciplined, right? So this is like using your intuition, right? Fiery intuition or fierce intuition, waiting, listening, trusting, right? Holding back for this guidance, and then striking or moving forward without a second guess or a second thought. Where should we go next? There's some more astrology to talk about. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the astrology, and then we'll move on to some of the tarot cards. The tarot cards are actually related to the astrology because I pulled cards to confirm the astrology. Okay, so we have the moon in Aries making a conjunction to Saturn in Aries, right? The moon in Aries is conjunct Saturn in Aries. This isn't a 0-degree conjunction. It's more like maybe a 4-degree conjunction. So it's not a tight conjunction. The conjunction is actually separating, but Saturn's influence is still felt by the moon. We talked all about the moon in Aries, right? Fierce intuition, waiting, listening, trusting, and then taking that action once we receive that insight, right? Moving in the right direction, co-creating our reality with spirit based on divine timing, right? So that energy is with Saturn in Aries, right? So our maybe this desire or this ability to sit and trust and wait in this dark space is being influenced by Saturn in Aries. So let me get the Saturn in Aries card real quick, just so that we know what we're dealing with here. This is Saturn. Where is Saturn in Aries? The 5 of Wands, right? So maybe our ability, our capacity to sit still, right? Sit still in this void space is being triggered, opposed. This is like external forces, external people, situations, circumstances, energy coming up against us, right? This is Saturn in Aries. So maybe we do feel like, oh, like I gotta get out of here, right? I gotta move. The grass is greener. I gotta get to the other side, right? So this card, Saturn in Aries, is actually sandwiched in between the Knight of Cups and the Judgment card. The Knight of Cups is like creative impulse, right? So we're carrying our creative energy, our desire to create something, our desire to procreate, our sensitivity, our tenderness. We're carrying our water, our cup, our emotion, right? Our passion through this conflict into this rebirth. The Judgment card talks about a spiritual rebirth, right? It's like making choices, conscious choices that have big impacts on our lives. Not just conscious choices, unconscious choices as well. So it's like choices that alter the fabric, the foundations of our lives, right? A choice that we make in this energy is going to have some sort of outcome. Whatever the outcome is, it depends on your individual choice. But this card, when we speak about it in terms of esoteric tarot or esoteric astrology, it talks about the evolution of consciousness, right? Using the data, the information that you receive from your higher self or maybe from past experiences to make new choices that ascend you rather than descend you, right? So the cards that came out to confirm the moon conjunct Saturn in Aries are the 9 of Wands and the King of Pentacles, right? The 9 of Wands is the wounded warrior or the wounded aspects of our psyche, right? We can even call this the Chiron wound, our core wounds, right? Because these are wands. Wands are the foundation of our being, right? So this is like those foundational, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't know what the heck they're doing upstairs. It sounds like they're moving furniture. But this card talks about like those foundational wounds, right? Going back to Chiron. Chiron is in Taurus right now. Chiron is in Taurus right now. So the moon conjunct Saturn, the triggers. Remember we saw the Five of Wands, right? The fight, the conflict, the friction, the trigger. There may be some external circumstances, whether they be people, experiences, environments, energies, entities, whatever, right? These external circumstances may be triggering a Chiron wound. Because Chiron is in Taurus, it may be a wound around material comfort. We do have the King of Pentacles here. Material comfort or personal value. Maybe you're in this uncomfortable environment, this uncomfortable situation. Maybe you don't have, or you feel like you don't have enough resources to carry on. So Saturn is triggering that right now because the moon is so close to Saturn. The advice is the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is the master of the game, right? The King of Pentacles is the last king in the deck, so he's already ascended through all of the levels, and now he sits at the top of the mountain, right? So this is going to be spiritual mastery, right? Spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity. You've gained this sense of spiritual mastery through your discipline and your responsibility and your sense of groundedness, right? Maybe this isn't like financial mastery or mastery of material success, not yet, but financial mastery or mastery of material success follows spiritual mastery. So the advice is to trust and know that you are safe, secure, and stable no matter what is going on in your internal environment. Maybe your safety, your security, your stability is being challenged, Chiron and Taurus, but Spirit wants you to know that you are safe, secure, and stable. If not materially, then spiritually, right? And remember, material success follows spiritual success. So as we move through this Bardo, right, through this birth canal, through this transition, we want to embody this King of Pentacles energy, right? The complete master, because what's on the other side, remember that we're co-creating this energy. And it could be either this that's on the other side, more of this, or this. And I keep getting like one of Beyonce's songs playing in my mind. Not the whole song, it's just like this verse, this one verse. I'm not even sure what song it's from. It's just the verse, sweet dream or a beautiful nightmare. And it just keeps repeating, and it's getting kind of annoying. It usually comes up when I fall into this energy, like, oh, like, really? Seriously? Why aren't things shifting, right? So when I fall into this energy, that song just, or that verse just pops in my head, I guess as a reminder that I'm co-creating with my thoughts, with my feelings. Am I co-creating a sweet dream or a beautiful nightmare? So just be mindful of the thoughts that you are producing as you move through this birth canal, because we're still the creators, right? We're in this creative vertex. I feel like we're in this fragile womb energy where our thoughts are like highly potent, highly potent seeds of like fertilization. So just be mindful. Okay, so I pulled one of these cards just to confirm. You guys can't see that. Just to confirm or clarify what this Chiron energy is. I know it's going to be different for each of us, right? I wanted to see what this wound was for the collective. It's going to be different for each of us, and you can check your birth chart to get like a more in-depth answer, more in-depth clarity around what this wound is for you. Check your Taurus house. What do you have in Taurus? Chiron is in Taurus right now. What do you have in Taurus? What planets? What house is it in? What asteroids do you have there? This card that came out to confirm and clarify the Nine of Wands, it's the Creator. So we have the Creator here twice. The Creator is the King of Fire. So maybe this is a wound around what you are able to manifest and create for yourself, right? Maybe you are like worried or stressed or feeling discontent about your current reality. Let's see. Mastering and harnessing the fires of passion, being stable. I feel like the advice here is to remember that you are safe, secure, and stable, no matter what's going on in your material reality. And as we move through this transition, we want to master this sense of stability, self-control, mastering the ego, right? Which brings me to the next portion of our astrology, right? So we have the moon in Aries conjunct Saturn in Aries, but the moon in Aries is also conjunct Neptune in Aries, right? And Neptune, you guys, it's a completely different energy from Saturn, right? Neptune is the god of the oceans, right? The god of the sea. In traditional astrology, Neptune is referred to as like the planet of illusion, confusion, and delusion, right? Rose-tinted glasses. But in esoteric astrology, Neptune is a planet that helps us dissolve limitations. It helps us dissolve the ego. It helps us dissolve old programming, right? So I feel like the moon conjunct Neptune can either play out two ways, right? We can be like completely lost in like emotional delusion and confusion, right? I'm getting like the Seven of Cups. Or if we are still, right, present and grounded in this King of Earth energy, right? Master, complete master of self, Neptune, it's because we are working with a higher octave of Neptunian energy. When we're in these lower vibrational frequencies of panic and like concern and worry and feeling wounded, then we are working with Neptune's lower octaves, right? But when we ascend into this frequency of self-mastery, right, complete master of self, then we have access to the higher octaves of Neptune's energy. And Neptune, in our calm, grounded, and present state, will help us dissolve limitations, right? Help us dissolve illusions around Aries, right? Aries is our energy, the energy that we lead with, right? I come forth. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's how we show up. It's how we express ourselves. If the entire zodiac wheel is a house, right? Aries is going to be the front door, right? It's what everyone sees first. So Neptune in Aries conjunct the moon is helping us dissolve the limitations, right? The wounds, the fears, the triggers, the illusions, the confusions and delusions around our identity, around who we are and how we are seen. The cards that came out to clarify the moon in Aries conjunct Neptune are the magician and the sun, which ties back into what I was just talking about, right? The magician does magic, right? We know that, but let's talk about the process behind the scenes, right? The process that comes before the materialization of a wish, a dream, a hope, a desire, right? In order for us to manifest our hope, our wish, our desire purely, right? The way our higher self sees it, the way that we envision it in our dreams, right? If we want to manifest a new life for ourselves, then our vessel has to be pure. It has to be pure and cleansed of distortion, limitation, low vibrational energies and frequencies, right? Because the magician channels energy from its higher self. He channels this energy. The energy passes through his vessel, and then something is manifested. If his vessel is distorted, contaminated, overtaken by whatever these energies are, right? Maybe it's the energy of lack, melancholy. I'm getting melancholy, like, more of this. Why aren't things shifting? But if we have these energies stored within, then these energies will distort our manifestation, right? Sweet dream or a beautiful nightmare. So Neptune is helping us purify and dissolve distortions and limitations so that whatever we manifest is true. We have the sun here. The sun talks about authenticity, right? The true self, revelation of the true self, the revelation of the true self. So if our true self is wanting to integrate and be expressed outward, then what am I trying to say here? Neptune is helping us clear ego distortions, even distortions from our moon, right? Because Neptune is with the moon, clearing distortions from our moon so that what we manifest is true and accurate, right? So at the bottom of this deck, we have the Fool. The Fool is Uranus. Okay, and the moon is making a sextile to Uranus and Gemini right now. The moon is making a sextile to Uranus and Gemini. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Fool. This is Uranus, right? Uranus, this isn't Uranus. This isn't Uranus. Uranus is the energy behind this image, right? We see the Fool here getting ready to embark on a new journey. Uranus is the energy that comes before us getting to this cliff, right? So Uranus, the primal force of divine intervention and radical reorientation, right? Uranus moves the pieces around on the chessboard so that karma and divine will play out. So Uranus does the background work before we get to this cliff, right? So the moon is in communication with Uranus. And then we have this Eight of Wands energy. So there's like a new beginning that's probably just going to shoot off. It's going to take off. We did see the horse. We saw the horse, which was talking about like quick momentum propelling you forward. There's a new beginning that's going to take off. But when we think about this card in terms of like esoteric astrology, this is Mercury in Sagittarius, right? Mercury is the well of divine wisdom. Sagittarius is the path, right? Sagittarius rules the spiritual pathway and how we walk it. So there is some divine wisdom that is related to, in connection with your path, which brings us back to the beginning of the reading, right? There's some wisdom that wants to come in. This wisdom is going to result in some sort of like acceleration, like quick forward movement down your path. This card, the Eight of Wands, it also talks about a window of opportunity, a brief window of opportunity. There's a brief window of opportunity open for this information, right? This flash of insight could be like quick communication that comes through about your path. So you want to harness this information, this wisdom that's coming in from Mercury. Mercury is your higher self, right? You want to implement the plans and seize the moment. We have the Two of Wands right behind the Eight of Wands. The Two of Wands talks about a sovereign choice, right? A sovereign choice about your path. Which way are you going to go? Which path are you going to choose? This card talks about balance, right? Because it's a two. Balance, stability, groundedness. So this is like establishing an internal sense of stability, peace, and groundedness, right? A higher perspective to make a clear choice about the world, the reality that you want to create, or the reality that you want to move into, this one or that one. This guy has already made his choice, right? So maybe you've already made your choice. This is about sticking to it, sticking to your choice, right? What else do we have? Oh, the moon. The moon in Aries making a sextile to Uranus and Gemini. So we talked about Uranus a little bit. Gemini is the magician. Gemini is the magician in the tarot. Gemini is also the lovers in the tarot, but we have the magician here, and the magician is talking to me about telepathy, right? Telepathic intelligence, telepathic communication. When we think about Mercury being the well of divine wisdom, Gemini is the messenger, right? The messenger planet, quick moving energy, zip, zip, zip. The messenger planet that carries information from our higher selves to our lower selves, or our 3D selves, carries information from our higher selves to our lower selves. So this is talking to me about what we've been talking about, right? There's some key information that wants to come in. Significant information about your spiritual pathway, your next steps that want to come in. We receive this energy, this information. We have the Antakarana here. The Antakarana is the bridge of communication between the soul and the personality, right? This is Gemini energy as well. Okay. So, sorry guys. Sorry. Moon in Aries, sextile Uranus and Gemini. We receive this communication, whatever this communication is, right? There's like some quick communication wanting to come in about our pathway. And then we move with that communication. We move in that direction. And then Uranus is setting up the pieces for us, setting up the plays for us. So all we have to do is like just take these next steps forward. And the path is being laid out in front of us. The path that we're choosing. whether it's the sweet dream or the beautiful nightmare. Just be conscious, just be aware of your choices in this energy. Okay. I wonder if I should pull some more cards. I'll just do like an overall energy. Let's see. I'm going to use this deck here. We have independence. Independence at the bottom of the deck. That's a really pretty card. Independence. Independence is talking about sovereignty. She also has that Sagittarius bow, right? Sagittarius is the archer. When we think about it in terms of like archetypal energy, Sagittarius is the archer. So it's like a sovereign choice, right? Choosing your path, aiming, it's like steady aim fire, right? Choosing an independent path. We have unresolved past, and then we have the dark moon release. So it's like we're releasing the past and choosing a new path, right? Okay, let's see what we have from this deck. Guys, if you found any value in this message so far, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Leave a comment, even if the comment is just an emoji, right? Because your engagement and interaction with these videos, it does let YouTube know that these videos are helpful, and in turn, it helps the channel grow. So the card that came out is diversity. Diversity. Diversity is giving like crossroads energy, right? Because I'm seeing, these are some really pretty cards. I love these cards. I'm seeing she has 2 horses on a chariot. So it's like you can either go this way or you can go this way. This being in the center is steady, right? She's got the sun at her feet. She's steady and she's grounded, and she's like commanding and controlling these wild horses. This card says the most manifest goddess. So it's like making a choice, right? Making a choice. We've got the moon in this card, the torch in this card. The moon is talking about darkness, right? The darkness of the moon, not dark in like a negative way, but dark in like a way of incubating, right? Incubating, gathering your strength, gathering wisdom, preparing to move into a new cycle, a cycle that you choose, right? A cycle that you've chosen consciously, sovereignly, independently, right? Okay, I'm going to leave this reading here, you guys. Thank you all so much for being here if you're still here. As I mentioned, if this video was helpful, or if the messages that came through in this video were helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And yeah, your engagement, your interactions, your likes, your comments, it does like alert YouTube that this video is helpful, useful, right? People are engaging in interacting with the video, and then it helps the channel grow. I am seeing some positive growth on the channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting my work. Thank you for supporting my work. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I will see you guys in another couple of days. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Be easy, be gentle. Yeah, wait for this communication, or intend to receive this communication. Meditate with an intention to receive this communication. Go for a walk with intention to receive this communication. Clear your mind before bed with an intention to receive communication in your dreams, right? Something wants to come through, and I feel like it's highly significant. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next one.